Hello, Saul. Hi, great to meet you. My name
Hi.
is Zishan, and I'm obviously a huge fan. I couldn't see the matches of Arsenal back then, but I've heard a lot of stories. I've seen the clips of that invincible season. Obviously, I just have a couple of questions for you. We'll just begin with the simplest one. Like growing up, who were your footballing idols that made you pursue a career in football and you became a defender?
Well, you know what? I moved around as a career in my early days as a developing footballer from the streets of East London. So for me, World Cups were the big things for me. I think the one that stands out for me is Pele. Just kind of being there, an amazing kind of player, and also Brazil, England. Growing up, I used to see Gascoigne as an incredible midfielder in the 1990 World Cup in Italy. So these guys are etched in my kind of memory of World Cups. I wasn't really into too much domestic football because my local club was West Ham and didn't support them as I was growing up. But the main thing was international World Cups was it was really big thing back in it's still a big thing now, but everyone used to go around the TV and watch those big games of the big countries going battling out trying to win the European Cup or World Cup.
Yeah, obviously, during those times, the World Cups, because obviously you talk about the teams like Brazil, Germany, Argentina, they have France, Italy, all of these top teams, and it is one of those moments where people come together and watch the whole tournament. So yeah, it has got its buzz. So you're saying that that got you into football, and from there on, the
Oh
huge
yeah, I
career
think
started.
that got into football just watching those top
Yeah, right, right.
international tournaments and you can see the crowd in the distance and yeah, and sometimes I almost like the grainy look of the videos and the
Yeah,
television because it just
yeah,
get it's nostalgia. It just gave me
yeah.
some kind of it's real. Now it's really crisp, it's really clean, and yeah, I get it because they've got to produce a really good product for people to
It's
watch them at
4K.
home.
Yeah, obviously. Great. Moving forward, you have come up through the ranks of Spurs Academy and you spent your quite bit fair share of time at the Spurs team. And then you happen to move across
Yeah.
town, go to Arsenal. How did that came to being? I mean, like, how did you handle all the backlash if there were any?
Uh, I think for me as a young man, I was really, really young, and
Yeah.
for me, I looked at it as a move because I wanted to win, the will to win. I'm a young
Yeah.
man, and I'm thinking, well, I've had a number of years at Spurs, and yes, I won one cup, League Cup, captain, but then I just wanted more, and
So it was basically
I
your ambition.
ambitious. Yeah, I'm a
Did
very
did
ambitious guy.
so sorry to cut you there. I just wanted to know, did Arsene Wenger had a role to play in that particular move? I'm pretty sure he is quite persuasive.
Yes, of course he had to. They had to be all on the same page. I mean, the whole hierarchy had to be on
Yeah.
the same page. Then they wanted to get Campbell over, and they knew it's a big move. It's a move that obviously upset people, and some and the other half, everyone was joyous. London's a big place, but even for London, it was a big move because a lot of people were, wanted it to fail, wanted it to kind of succeed. There was hatred, there was joy, there was everything in there. I think people don't realize the pressure I was under. And even at sometimes I was thinking, should I move? Should I like get out of the club because it got so much and so kind of pressurized? As a young man, I'm a young man. I'm a really, really young man trying to deal with all these pressures, but I got through it. I dug in. I simplified my life. I really got my head down. I stopped listening to everybody and just concentrated on football and the players. They were tremendous players for me. You had Dennis Bergkamp, Thierry Henry, Patrick Vieira, you had Perez, you had Tony Adams there, Martin Keown, Ashley Cole was there. All these guys were there. Laurent, David Seaman, and eventually Jens Lehmann. These guys were just incredible kind of characters that helped you and for me to get through it.
That's amazing. You were just You were just randomly mentioning the names of the players and it just stuck to my head. I mean, like you have played with so many big legends. You have been on the pitch with Thierry Henry, who currently, in my opinion, has been one of the best players. And going back to that time when you just jumped ship from Spurs to Arsenal, that was, I guess, 2001. And it was 2003 and 4 season where Arsenal went on to be the Invincibles. I mean, tell us something about that. I mean, how did that even happen? And up till now, even there is not one single team who have done that feat.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it's magical, it's special, it's unique, and I think sometimes those big accolades, those big prizes, I think they choose you. You have to have the right team, the right manager, the right hierarchy. Everything's got to be okay, but you still need that slice of luck to kind of. And we did have a little bit of slice of luck throughout that season for sure, but we had the great team. I think those massive, massive, unique honors, they choose you. You don't choose it because there's so many teams that have gone before. We broke a record that stood over 100 years. That's a lot of football. Over 100 years. That's a lot of football.
Wow,
And it's
it's too much
special.
for me to fathom.
And before I mentioned those players about it are all about it, all about it. And then I just go slice of luck. My father passed away through that season, and I missed a game. And then the game I missed was Man United. So you got Van Nistelrooy coming up
Oh
to
my,
take the
yeah.
penalty, the last 9 seconds of the game. Comes up, hits the bar, boom. He scores. There's no invincibles. He scores. There's no invincibles, and that's the slice of luck you need.
I mean, like you were going in that season. At a point of time, you must have realized, okay, hey guys, we are onto something special. It's now just not about winning the Premier League. It is about going invincible. So, was this thought going in your head, and did you actually put up a huge fight at the back just to be secure? We do not have to concede a goal, whatever may come. We just have to be secure at the back. Was this fight bigger than the Premier League fight at a moment?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, people say Invincibles. The Invincible like only came after. People said it's Invincible after. I actually don't know who came up with Invincibles. I really don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That's the we were going along, and it only came in when we won the league. When we won
Right.
the league at Tottenham, we drew 2-2. That technically allowed us to win. We won the league. And then we kind of switched like, oh, how far can we go? Because we still had a few games to go, a number of games to go. So we had to reboot, enjoy that moment, but then
Yeah.
you had to stay calm and say, hey, we've got a job to do. Let's see how far we can go.
My, just
It was,
it's
it
sorry. I'm
was
so sorry.
but even in the
It's
last
goosebumps
game,
for me.
even in the last
Yeah, yeah,
game, it could have all kind of unfolded because we went 1-0 down to Leicester.
yeah, yeah.
So that's the kind of thing, that's the kind of, not luck, but we had to find a way. We always found a way. That's good teams, top teams, and individual players always find a way.
How is Arsene Wenger in person? I mean, like people talk about him that he's a big disciplinarian, he's a stickler for the rules, he wants everything to be done perfectly, and obviously people talk about him like he's a great mastermind of tactics, and obviously he came and did a whole revolution in English football. How is he in person? Is he easy to talk to? Does he gets involved a lot with the players?
I think he's very easy to talk to. I think you got to choose your subjects when you talk to him. I think yeah, he's a great system kind of designer. That's why I liked it because I could drop into a system and then allow my skill to kind of to take over once the system's set. So I think you got to choose what you talk to him. You can chat to him. You can't chat to him about anything. I think everyone will say the emotional side is probably a little bit lacking. It's there, but mostly other things you can have a conversation with him.
Yeah, right. Well, we had too much talk about the old times. I'm just gonna go and throw in some rapid fire rounds. Are you ready for it? I'll just be asking you simple questions, and whatever pops up in your head, you just have to answer right away. Okay?
That could be dangerous.
Yeah, yeah. Let's go. Let's go. All right. I'll try to make it very less. I'll try to make it easy for you. So, the question number one. Well, this is gonna be difficult. I'm so sorry for this question. Arsenal or England? Which team gave you your proudest moment?
Well, obviously, I said, obviously playing for my country is one of the greatest honors, but also, winning the double. and being invincible, obviously that's a massive achievement over 100 years. So, if I played for England and I won the World Cup or European Cup, I would say, England. So I have to say Arsenal.
Understandable, obviously. So, according to you, who's the most talented player that you have played with?
I would say the most talented player I've played with. It's hard because there's a few guys I've played with. I mean, back in the days, Gascoigne was at England, and a little bit of Tottenham. It was special. Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, Robert Perez, Paul Scholes for England,
Well, yeah.
David Beckham for his, crosses and things like that. Thierry Henry.
Well, wow. Okay. I kind of expected that answer, but man, just legends that you are just naming out of your head. Third question would be toughest opponent that you have faced in your career. Being a defender, you must have come up through a lot of these guys, top strikers and wingers. Who was the toughest opponent?
I would say on a cool on a year in year out, because some players play against you for 1 or 2 years and then
Yeah.
they go back to Europe
Yeah.
or drop out the league or whatever. So for me, for the longest period of time, I would say even with playing at Tottenham, I would have to say two players. I would say Thierry Henry and also I would say Ryan Giggs. I think
Wow.
those two
Wow.
players on a course of 20 years of me playing against Ryan Giggs and we were getting older together, he's always been one of the toughest. He's been the top world-class player. I think I have to say two of them, Thierry and Ryan Giggs.
Man, well, I'm so sorry. I need to just ask a follow-up question regarding that. We all are aware about Thierry Henry and his pace and his finishing ability. What was that so special about Ryan Giggs that made him so uneasy to be defended?
Yeah, he was elusive, his move. But
Wow.
honestly, when it came to kind of skill wise, I remember years I was at Arsenal and we was playing that hybrid, and he did a move on me. I said, "Oh my god!" I said, "What?" The move was like it kind of came inside me, and then all of a sudden, we were flashes in the box. So that's when I said, "This guy is special. You have to really watch him."
Yeah.
And the goals he scored, he's got some amazing goals.
Yeah.
He's been a top player from day dot, and he carried on, looked after himself till he retired. He's a very very good player, but he scored goals. He pushed on teams. Even Alex Ferguson say he's one of
Yeah.
he would. There's only a few people who say he's had it under him in Man United, but world class, and he's one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That is very enlightening. Well, coming up to the next part, I'm just gonna ask you a couple of questions regarding the defender. What are the key attributes? Like, if this video is being watched by a young defender, an aspiring defender, or what he should be looking for if he's aiming to become a defender. Like, what are the traits that you would want a young player to be working on, chiseling to be a
Um,
top defender?
I think first things, build up your instincts, your
Okay.
awareness of what's around you. You got to know what's around you, for sure. Also, you got to start looking at pattern of plays, how the ball is developing, things like that. And very early on, also when the pattern of play is also find out your opponent, how he's playing, what kind of pattern of plays he's playing. Oh, when I was growing up, I had to use that in my head. Now some youth players have got iPads and things like
Yeah.
that, and then recordings, and I had to use everything in my head. That was my computer. That's my computer. Now everyone's iPads and they can see the youth players, how they were playing. But if you haven't got that, not everyone in the world has got that. Start learning pattern of play, how the ball's moving, and making sure you're in the right position.
Wow, that's quite insightful. Uh,
Instincts, very
yeah,
instincts. You
instincts.
gotta,
Yeah.
yeah, you gotta have that defensive instinct, that a sense of awareness, a sense of danger.
Do you think people are born with that? Do you think people are born to have that instinct to be defenders, or
I've
you
got
can
a
develop that?
I think there's a little bit of that. You can learn it, but I've got a natural instinct to kind of see
Okay.
danger and see off danger. I used to know, like when I was playing back in the days, I would be in the defense, and then you got the goal kick. And he says he passes out. I would know within a second where the ball is roughly is,
Yeah.
and I would shift the players, into the right position. So it's really difficult for them to get them towards me.
Yeah.
That takes time to develop. But I had that already, that instinct, that aware of danger, but also movement, pattern of play,
Yeah.
where the ball is going. There's only a few probabilities, positions where the ball's going to go. You have to kind of anticipate that and get in the right position. That's a captain material. That's why I became captain. But also that's when you start developing and understanding football and the movements
Yeah.
and
Right.
pattern of play.
pattern of play, the system. Obviously, lately we have been saying there's a tremendous rise of defenders in the Premier League and even in and around. A defender to be good on the ball, or is it like a very necessary trait?
Yeah, I think for me, we as you know, from the late like the 90s and early 2000s, we could play football, but we that was the situation we had to play with. I think for us, football, we played within the rules. I think if the rules didn't change, I think parts of football, we kind of the same. We used to throw, back in the days, throw the ball out, start from
Yeah.
the back and build up and things like that. Now they play from
Yeah.
the box. You could do that. You couldn't do. You
Exactly.
can't play from the box because that wasn't the rules. So I think the main thing is like when that first phase is over and then the ball came back to the centre half, you had to play football from the middle third. We just didn't have to play football from
Right.
the behind as like they can do now, build up from the goalkeeper and in the box, and the players have to wait to kind of pounce on them and find the gaps. I think it's just like it's the time
Yeah.
of our playing that we had to. This is the situation, and we dealt with it. But I think now, yeah, players have to play, keepers have to play,
Yeah.
and
They
that's
have to.
sort of that. But then you have to say they're learning all that kind of play from the youth team. You know,
Yeah. Right.
from the youth
Right.
team, they're doing that all the way from
Right.
the academy. So when they
Yeah.
get into the first team, it's
Yeah.
natural for them.
Yeah.
It's the same thing for me. This was just football, and I could play football. I used to play midfield. I used to play up front. I mean, I used to play everywhere except
Yeah.
goalkeeper. But I could play
Right.
football if I had to. But the football, if it was a football game and I played Europe, I had to play
Yeah.
football.
Right. Right. No, that
Sometimes,
makes sense.
but then sometimes you're playing against a team back in the days that were very kind of aerial. You had to
Yeah.
deal with that. And then when you had the time to play, at Spurs, when I was at Tottenham, you had to play football. You had to
Right.
play football. If you look
Right.
at the clips I played
Yeah.
at Spurs when I was 18, 19, I played
Yeah.
football. But if I
Yeah.
had to mix it, you have to mix it because that was the requirement of the game of the day. I had a very physical battle sometimes with players and some big forwards, and then sometimes I had to find the feet and play football. I had to. I think defenders get a really bad rap because they had to do everything. Had to defend, had to play, had to deal
Hey.
with
Yeah.
aerial, had to play with football brain centre forwards. You had to do everything.
My God.
IQ
Yeah.
is
That.
massive.
Yeah.
IQ is massive. Like if you want to be a real defender, and I look at it like if you do a real defender and the forward doesn't score or midfielders don't get a chance, how clever are you as a defender then?
Yeah.
If you stop really, people say, oh, really intelligent players,
Right.
forwards, midfielders, they're incredible scoring goals, and all of a sudden they play against you, you shut it down. What's that? What does that say about you? You can't just shut it down because you can't. Because if you just hoofing the ball, the ball's gonna come back to you, and they're gonna sooner or later they're gonna find and score against you. That's the IQ of
Exactly.
really top
Right.
defenders.
That's why you said instinct. So I'm just gonna come to the last question that I have to ask. We're gonna build a perfect defender. I'm gonna throw in some random traits, and you can just let me know the right player that pops your head. So we're gonna start with first tackling. Who would you say the best defender is when it comes to tackling?
I think Rudiger.
Oh, how about positioning? Someone that you find is always is in position.
Um, I would say Stones. Good
Oh,
position,
all
Stones.
right, yeah, right. Aerial ability, aerial duels.
Van Dijk.
Oh, and that's leadership.
Uh, Leadership. I would say Van Dijk has been quite a good leader.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, last two, composure.
Composure.
Anyone?
Composure. Maldini.
Maldini, absolutely. And last one, pace.
So Campbell. So
Absolutely.
Campbell.
That wraps up our whole interview. Thank you so much, Saul. It was a pleasure, huge pleasure, a great conversation. Thank you so much. And I guess that's all for me now. And thank you so much for spending such a lovely time with me. I hope that you have a great day over here.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you.